Hi there, it's board-certified dermatologist and skin wellness expert Dr. Cynthia Bailey, and I'm filming today from my country kitchen because I want to show you how I make my grain-free granola that I have every day for my breakfast. The reason I'm talking about food today as opposed to skincare is because I think what we eat either helps or hurts our complexion. It actually helps or hurts our entire physiology, and our complexion is often a tip of the iceberg for what's going on physiologically in our body. Some people can get away with eating whatever they want and still having a great complexion and or no aches and pains, no high blood pressure, pretty good, pretty stable health. Other people, however, are not so lucky. So what we eat determines our physiology, and if we happen to have a body whose physiology does not tolerate a pro-inflammatory lifestyle, then what we eat really matters. You know that's you if you struggle with inflammatory complexion conditions such as acne, psoriasis, rosacea, seborrheic dermatitis, etc. Other physiologic manifestations of a pro-inflammatory condition in the body can include non-dermatologic problems such as arthritis, high blood pressure, cancer, diabetes, high cholesterol, etc. So from a dermatologic perspective, what you eat will impact how your complexion appears and whether your skin problems are controlled or are out of control. So today I'm going to show you my grain-free granola that I eat every morning for breakfast. I use it as a topping on a bowl of mostly fruit and some ground fresh flax seeds. So this granola that I make is grain-free. It's also therefore gluten-free. It qualifies as paleo. It's also low glycemic, meaning it doesn't have a lot of sugar or sugar substitute-y sort of things in it that will raise your blood sugar. And it's also relatively low fat, and it's plant-based if you choose, like I do, to use an oil that is a plant-based oil as opposed to something like butter. And the recipe for my granola isn't exactly precise. In the kitchen, with the exception of when I used to bake, I'm not precise. I sort of just kind of go with what I have. I live in the country. Running to the grocery store is just not an option. So I have to kind of go with what's in my pantry, what I need to use up, because I also don't like to waste food. And so what you're going to see as I show you this is my kind of just sort of, I feel what I want to eat, I feel what I want to make, and that's how it turns out. So the recipe is a mixture of dry ingredients and wet ingredients. The dry ingredients are made with seeds such as buckwheat, which in spite of the word wheat in buckwheat, buckwheat is a seed, it is not wheat, and it is gluten-free, it does not contain gluten. So I use buckwheat. I use a variety of different seeds such as sunflower seeds. Today I'm going to use some hemp seeds. They're kind of popular right now. Chia seeds, sesame seeds, and pumpkin seeds. I'm going to throw in some nuts, and today I'm going to use some chopped pecans and some slivered almonds. Sometimes I use hazelnuts. I'm allergic to walnuts, so I never use walnuts, but if you're not allergic to walnuts, they're an excellent source of omega-3s. And I also use desiccated coconut flakes. These are not sweet. There's no sweetening sugar on them. They're just dry coconut flakes. You'll notice I don't use anything like dried fruit that is more moist. I don't use dried raisins or cranberries or berries because those would make my granola a little soggy, and I like my granola toasty. The wet ingredients include, for me, a combination of coconut oil, which I have pre-microwaved so that it's liquidy. You can do it on the stove if you're not a fan of the microwave. I personally like the microwave for this. And I use maple syrup. I've also made this granola with agave. Agave is a little bit lower glycemic index than the maple syrup. I could use honey, but I tend not to use honey. If you used honey, it wouldn't be vegan, and otherwise this is also vegan. So it ticks a number of the dietary trends that people are working on incorporating into their life for health. So I'm going to show you kind of how I do it. Here's about 5-ish cups of buckwheat, just raw, dry buckwheat. I'm going to just sort of wing it. So for the purposes of trying to be a little bit more precise, I'll measure sort of. So that's about a cup-ish, let's put more of a lot of these, cup-ish and a half of hemp seeds. And again, when I'm buying these products or preparing them, I'm using my nose as well because I don't want to use any ingredients here that are rancid. So seeds and nuts can easily go rancid. These hemp seeds I just bought and I just opened them, so they're in an airtight container, so they're good. But when I'm buying in the bulk department, I actually sort of take a little sort of wafting of the aroma coming from the bulk containers, because oftentimes the bulk department may have seeds or nuts that have gotten a little rancid and I don't want to use those. So here's about a cup of, a little more, of sunflower seeds and chia seeds. Again, I love chia seeds. You know, I love chia seeds for when I need to thicken things, like there is a languishing blueberry crisp over there that is not entirely grain-free. It has a little corn in it, and I might have used a little brown rice flour. But I thickened the blueberry part of it with chia seeds, as well as, I think I used potato flour for that one, along with some sugar. So again, I'm not precise. Except if I were baking a cake, in which case I would be very precise, because I mastered the art of flat cakes. So here are slivered almonds. And again, I like the nuts for protein. So, and then I'm going to do some pecans, and now I'm going to put measuring things. So this is probably grown from 5 cups to 7 cups. Here's a bunch of pumpkin seeds. Boy, they can get rancid in the bulk section. And I'm not going to use quite everything because I'm also going to make my husband's oat-based granola, and I need to save him some stuff. So that is pretty much it for those dry ingredients. I'm going to mix them up. Looks like I need more nuts. So again, it's kind of like, what am I in the mood for? And those nuts, when they're all toasty and roasty in the oven, are going to be really good. And then I'm going to just pour in the whole package of desiccated coconut, and now I have a small mountain here, so I need to use my hands for this. Granola is really expensive, and when you make your own, it's not quite as expensive. It's still not cheap. It's kind of that's why I just sprinkle it on top. Not to mention it's really filling. So here's what we're looking like right now. Then I'm going to mix the wet ingredients, and usually my ratio is about 5 cups of dry to maybe a cup-ish of wet. Again, kind of depending on my mood, kind of depending on the ambient humidity. And so I'm just going to kind of see what we've got here in the, okay, that's a cup-ish of coconut oil. Let's see what we've got here in the maple syrup department. And that actually looks sort of like a nice balance of wet to dry. Then I put salt in the wet ingredients. I like a lot of salt, so if I had high blood pressure, I wouldn't be putting salt in, but I actually run low. I have low blood pressure. So I put a lot of salt in. When I'm cooking for friends that have high blood pressure, I don't get to do that. But since this is my granola, I get to do that. And then I mix the wet and the dry. And then I start pouring it and mixing it. And again, we're just going to kind of see. I don't want it to be soupy wet in here. Because then it will take forever in the oven. So what happens after I do this mixture is I pour it out in a kind of thinnish layer on baking sheets, although you're going to see when I make the oat one, I don't have enough baking sheets to make a thinnish layer. The idea is in the oven we want it to become a golden brown. Actually, I think I have, this is pretty wet. And so the wetter it is, the longer it's going to take to become a golden brown in the oven. So I've been doing this sort of stuff for about, I'm 60 now, just about. So I started doing this sort of kind of natural Nelly hippie food when I was about 15, and it's just the way I eat and live. I have to be careful about what I eat because I didn't get the world's greatest genes, as opposed to my husband who could eat whatever he wants. And I don't think he's ever known an ache and a pain. I, however, got my dad's tendency for arthritis and psoriasis, and what I eat has a big impact on that because probably we have a condition where inflammatory mediators come through the intestine, our digestive system isn't so healthy, and it tends to be fragile. And then we end up with arthritis and psoriasis. And then I also inherited the genetic predisposition for breast and ovarian cancer, and again, cancer predisposition is driven by inflammation, so my threshold for cancer is much lower than the average person's, and in fact, I did have breast cancer and ovarian cancer. My grandmother had ovarian cancer, my mom had breast cancer twice, so yay, go genes. And so I am very careful about what I eat, both because of aches and pains and because I really like to stay alive if possible. So this actually is plenty wet, so you can see that, again, that ratio is not precise. This is not dry anymore. It actually looks like it's going to be delicious. In fact, it's going to be delicious. Okay. It's delicious raw. But after it's toasty and roasty, it's going to be amazing. So, I have my cookie sheets from the dinosaur era. I've probably had these cookie sheets for 30 years. I probably got them right after I was married. And I've used them so much that I've scraped off a lot of the coating on them, which is probably some sort of nasty Teflon-y thing anyways. So I've got parchment paper on there. I'm able to actually put a sort of thin layer because I haven't overcrowded my ratio of volume to cookie sheet, which I often do. So this is going to go faster. When I make a big batch of this stuff, I could be here for 2 hours every 15 minutes turning it, which is, more work. Okay. So now that's going to go into a 325-degree oven. And every 10 or 15 minutes, I'm going to go in and sort of stir it so that the golden brown happens on the top. And I'm going to keep my nose on duty as well, so that if I start to smell that it's cooking a little faster than I expected, I'm going to go in and stir it again, and I'll take it out when it's done. So we'll see how it looks in a little bit. So my granola's finished. It's delicious. It's a little caramelized, a little more caramelized than some batches, but I'm going to love that because I love that sweet caramel toasty flavor. It is nutrient dense. It will be high fiber and an excellent way to steward the intestinal microbiome. Very good for digestive health and overall health. It's high in omega-3 fatty acids and vitamins, A, B, D, E, etc. It's full of minerals that are good for us, calcium, zinc, which is good for fighting acne, and lots of other minerals, copper, manganese, magnesium, etc., etc. So, absolutely delicious. I invite you to try your own version. Slowly over time, you'll develop your own taste, what fruit you like in your breakfast in the morning, and it gradually evolves with the seasons and with what you want to start your day with. So absolutely delicious. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.